Building Brands podcast is dedicated to exploring the journeys of industry leaders who have successfully built a brand. Join Building Brands Marketing, a marketing agency that has successfully scaled multiple brands, as we dive deep into the strategies, challenges, and insights that have shaped the success of industry leaders and provide you with the resources you need to do the same. Building Brands Marketing is a full-service marketing agency specializing in crafting customized marketing strategies for service-based businesses with the creative powerhouse to drive real results. Welcome to the Building Brands Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Building Brands Podcast. My name is Braden Pope, the host of today's episode in the Policy and Profit series. Today on the show, I am very happy and honored to welcome Julia Sosa, who is the Chief Experience Officer at Pumpkin. Julia, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Excited for our conversation.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yes, absolutely. So first, let's just start with Pumpkin. Can you tell me about Pumpkin, what services you offer, your role as Chief Experience Officer, what that entails, and how that's shaping the company's overall direction?
Sure. So, my journey's kind of interesting. I've been with Pumpkin since before we were Pumpkin, when we were just really a new venture being incubated by our first investor. And I started there kind of leading the UX strategy design for this kind of new startup that we might launch. And that ended up becoming Pumpkin. And so when Pumpkin was officially funded as one of the new pet insurance brands coming to market in 2020, I decided to join. And it was very important to me when I joined Pumpkin that experience and design were seen as a strategic discipline within the organization,
right,
not just an executional function, because I really believed even at that time, even though I was pretty naive, all things pet insurance and insurance, that our ability to deliver a differentiated customer experience to pet owners would be the thing that ultimately defined our brand. So now, as the company's grown and evolved, in the early days, I did everything from, marketing to brand to user experience design. Now I am very much focused just on user experience and product design, with an eye both towards our pet owner experiences and the digital tools that we build for our veterinarian partners.
Absolutely. Let's dive a little bit deeper into that then. So you have you're wearing early on you were wearing multiple hats. That's evolved into the role that you're in currently. And now you're kind of making sure that the experience that people have with the brand is catered towards different target audiences, whether that be, veterinarians or direct to consumer, whatever it may be. When a customer or vendor interacts with Pumpkin, what kind of experience do you want them to have, and how do you go about defining that experience across your brand and marketing channels?
Yeah, great question. I think for us, one of the things that's been most important is, if you kind of look at the landscape of pet insurance brands, what really sets Pumpkin apart is we're really, really focused on pet owners that I would describe as being highly bonded to their pets. So people that really value the quality of care they're going to be able to provide, have an emotional attachment. And this goes beyond people that just call them fur babies, but it's people who truly put their pets in a high regard. If you just lump all pet owners in that, you kind of generalize it and you can't speak to them on a more meaningful emotional level. So we've been very focused on understanding our subset of pet owners that are right for Pumpkin. We are more premium pet insurance, and so we need to reach the pet owners that are going to see the value in that, not just price shopping for the cheapest plan or the lowest coverage out there. The second piece is because we're so committed to our partnership with veterinary hospitals, and we believe that veterinarians play such a critical role in promoting awareness of pet insurance in general. Hopefully Pumpkin, but in general, we really view veterinarians as one of our customers. And so everything that we're doing, we're trying to look at it through the lens of what it means to both the pet owner and the veterinarian, and how we best kind of connect what Pumpkin does differently to what matters to that audience. So we're constantly doing, customer research, both with vets and pet owners, and we're really trying to understand what matters to them and how do we not just talk about our coverage and our services, but talk about how we can help solve problems for them. Um, I think in terms of like how we want to show up and come across in marketing or even in our user experiences. No, I think to me what's most important, and it relates a lot to insurance and pet insurance, is nobody's pet is the same. No person has the
Right.
same, kind of relationship to their animal. And every single incident that happens is unique. Even if it's, the same medical condition, the circumstances are different. The pet owner circumstances, whether it happened at midnight or it happened during the middle of the day, all those things change how someone experiences different situations in caring for their pet. And as a brand, we need to be able to be agile and adapt and show up for our customers in the most appropriate and empathetic way, considering the
Right.
circumstance.
Yeah, what does that look like? Can you provide maybe an example of like say, hey, there's a pet owner, they're bonded to their animal in this way. What's your ideal experience that you want that pet owner to have from start to finish when they first interact with your brand?
Yeah, so it's funny when they first interact with our brand. I think one of the things that, and anybody can see this on our website, um, we have a relatively long quote flow, and not everyone, not
Yeah.
all of our traffic goes through it. But it's been really interesting that um, while it's imperfect and we're working on some changes for it, it's unusually long. But what we
Hmm.
have seen, and this goes all the way back to day zero, is that people were willing to answer a lot of questions about their pet. People like to
Hmm.
talk about their pet. And so I think the first thing we do as a brand is listen. So we want to,
Right.
letting you know that we actually want to know about your pet. Is it an indoor or outdoor? Is it a very active dog or is it a dog that's a little bit more of a couch potato? Those things are going to impact what we know matters most to customers or what maybe their kind of fears or concerns about their pets might be. If your cat never goes outside, you're probably not worried about it uh, getting lost, right? Or if your dog
Right.
never goes to a dog park, you're probably not worried about your dog getting attacked by another dog. If you don't live in
Right.
California, you're probably not worried about your dog getting bitten by a copperhead. If you live in California, that's usually something that
A big concern.
keep up
Yeah.
with. So I think it's taking, from the day that they first interact with us, even before they purchase, taking the time to listen and understand and try to tease out what's most important to them. Um, that's in the beginning. We also have a pretty involved post enrollment or onboarding process that we don't want to
Hmm.
put work on people, but pet insurance, like a lot of insurance, is something you don't necessarily interact with until you need it. But when you
Hmm.
really need it, you have a claim, you're faced with kind of an emergency situation, we need to be able to show up for you and have our ducks in a row. So we do a lot of work
Right.
of trying to gather the information we need to provide a good service, but also to kind of set them up for an understanding of what the experience of having pumpkins going to be. What are the resources there? Should they come into a situation where they need additional help? And then that was, I think delivering on that kind of level of personalized service was also the impetus for our kind of biggest and our flagship product launch this year, which was the service we launched called Pumpkin Now.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about Pumpkin now while you mentioned it.
So Pumpkin Now is so we launched it just in April. So it's been live for about 6 months, and it is our urgent pay service. And what
Hmm.
it does is for anyone that is facing a veterinary bill that may exceed $1,000. We're about to lower that threshold, but when we started, we wanted to make sure we could support the volume. Anyone that was facing a potential medical situation that might exceed $1,000, we said these are the people and the situations that should get triaged to the top of the queue and have a human, not a robot. Not that we really are using AI for much in the way of claims right now, but these are the ones that are like need the most TLC, and people deserve
Right.
that support. So it's not treating every claim the same, not just viewing it based on when it came in, but looking at the subset of all of our claims that we believe are the most high impact. They're the ones that are most impactful to the care that a pet is likely to receive in that moment, a veterinarian's ability to advocate for a certain treatment and have a pet owner consent to it, and the time when a pet owner is most likely to maybe have financial concerns delay making a decision for their pet. So being out of pocket, even if it's just for a week or two, $5,000 is a barrier for people. We
Right.
also see that those situations, when we show up for pet owners the right way in those situations, those are the ones that we say lead to 5-star moments. That getting a claim paid fast is always great, but when you're in that kind of really high stress, sometimes emotional situation where you're faced with a big expense, a sick pet, a hurt pet, those are the moments we need to show up. And we've built an entire digital product, service, dedicated team, all designed around supporting those situations that actually only make up about 10% of all of our claims. So it's recognizing that it's really this sliver of everything that really kind of shows who we are. Not that we
Right.
don't always want to give, everyone the 5-minute experience, but I think also
Mhm.
people understand that we're prioritizing based on known urgency and the importance of
Right.
care. So that's kind of
No, absolutely.
that's Pumpkin Now in a nutshell.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that actually kind of transfers us to the next question nicely. So you launch a new service like Pumpkin Now, or you're just trying to educate the community on your brand as a whole. What is it like rolling out a unified marketing strategy on a national scale? Like, what are some of those challenges? Like, hey, we have this new service, Pumpkin Now, or hey, there's a big chunk of the pet loving community that doesn't know about us. What are some of those challenges that you all are facing, or that you have faced, and some things that you've overcome, and how is your team currently working on those processes?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I'm sure, like everyone, it's not easy. But my team works in partnership with. I work in partnership with our CMO and our marketing team, and what we're always trying to do is look holistically at what we're trying to highlight and bring to the surface through marketing, brand building, on just an awareness level, and then also kind of more on the product service level, because our view is that it can be pumpkin I could talk in marketing all day about how exceptional the coverage an insurance
Right.
policy was, but the truth is most consumers aren't going to really either consume that information or understand it. If I don't know that my pet's prone to a certain disease or condition, why would I pay more for a product that covers it? So you kind of have to stay like at a level where you're first and foremost making sure that you're educating people on pet insurance in general, because there's a huge
Right.
lack of awareness. Only about 4% of pets in the US are insured. So if you just start talking about pumpkin and you're not also talking about just the highest level benefit of the category, you're probably going to miss a lot of people. Then it's really getting into like, what are the most concise differentiation points between us and other insurance brands out there. For us, it's really the service and the experience is what kind of shines through and what we've really invested heavily in. And I think that's just around making it tangible, not just making it about the service, but putting it in the context of like real customers and pets and veterinarians who have experienced it.
Right.
What we've run
Right.
into from, as Pumpkin in terms of like rolling out a concise national campaign or marketing strategy, we have a big sales team, and then we do a lot on DTC. And so our sales team is really our veterinary partnerships team. So we're, anything we're launching, we're both having to plan the pet owner communication and then how we're going to also communicate it and promote it to our partner hospitals. Those are two very different.
Right. Very different messaging entirely. Yeah.
But I think what we've kind of learned through the years is if you overemphasize on just focusing on the pet owner or the end consumer, you end up leaving our frontline reps kind of in the dark. They're not able then to, talk to veterinary partners about the value that we're providing to pet owners. So it's really always
Right.
across both kind of our B2B to C and our direct to consumer marketing strategy to make sure that we're really got one holistic story, but we've also got a story that is resonant with both of those kind of key critical customers.
Absolutely. And I think resonating with your target audience is probably one it's one thing that it's easy to say, but then whenever you're actually implementing a strategy, like you don't really always know is the messaging I'm sending out there, is it resonating? And I think especially in y'all's case where there's kind of there's clear defined in a way there's defined communities, like everyone knows about dog lovers, everyone knows a dog lover, everyone knows about cat owners. There's communities of that. There's trends online that participate in those kind of communities. How do y'all prioritize, maybe because education versus what's trendy are kind of two separate things? Do y'all try to insert yourself into the culture of pet lovers in general as much as possible, or do y'all take more of like a hey, let's educate first approach? Or how have y'all navigated kind of the complexity of that situation? And I know it's a little bit of a pivot, but I feel like the idea here is in your marketing messaging in particular, what's been y'all's approach?
Yeah, so I think for us, probably one of the best examples there is that we know that depending on the channel that someone's coming from, their awareness of pet insurance is likely to be different. And even their, intent or their likelihood to go with a more premium insurance. So as an example, if you are coming in through the affiliate channel, so you've Googled pet insurance, you end up on an aggregator site, you're kind of you probably already understand what pet insurance is. You probably are already kind of nominally bought into the value of it, or someone said you should really get pet insurance. You have a, this type of dog or whatever.
Right.
And by coming in through that channel, you're a little bit more in maybe a price comparison or feature comparison mindset. So we don't need to do as much about just educating you on pet insurance in general. We maybe need to just really quickly show up with what is different. And like I said kind of earlier, that's more and more for Pumpkin, the service. Because you can compare, there are other brands out there that have good coverage. It's really someone trying to understand what's it going to be like if I actually get this insurance. If someone is coming in through organic, they may not know about pet insurance. They may have huge misconceptions about it actually being like human health insurance, or that it covers pre-existing conditions and therefore I should just wait and sign up when something happens. And so you need to do a lot more to, showcase your brand, stand out, make an impression really quickly, but also kind of balance that with just setting kind of the groundwork for how pet insurance benefits people in general. And then the vet channel is really fascinating because when people come in because they've heard about us in a vet hospital or they've seen posters in their vet, they tend to come in with a very different mindset. They're probably more highly bonded because they're at the vet. They're thinking about their pet's care.
Right.
They're in that care mindset. They're just paid a vet bill, so they're thinking about it. And a lot of times what we find is that those customers have something very specific they want to know. Does it cover this? Does it work this way? Does it offer, how quickly will it pay me back? So it's just really understanding that depending on where they're coming from, there's a good chance that there's kind of a different level of general brand awareness or general category awareness, and we can kind of cater our messaging and the hierarchy of our messaging accordingly. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's great. That's very helpful. The next thing I want to talk about is social media. It's kind of like a ever-changing landscape, especially with AI being introduced into marketing, which we don't have to get into that because we could talk probably for an hour about that. But how has Pumpkin been using social media to connect with pet owners? And um, is there a sense of community that y'all are working to build on social media? What's been y'all's approach there?
It's interesting. We definitely have a very, engaged audience on social media. A little bit more so still Instagram than TikTok now. And I think that has to do also with just kind of the media consumption and the shopper mindset, depending on what social media platform you're on. But one thing we found is that a huge portion of our followers are customers, actually. And we think that's a great thing because it's another way for us to really connect with, have a more recurring connection with our audience. Because a lot of people, if they're lucky, they won't use the product in the first year if they don't have an accident. So I think social media has been almost more important for us just in terms of general brand building, engagement with our existing customers and their community. And then the other thing would be, I think, really leveraging the stories of our customers. So highlighting, this is what happened to Rufus last week or Buddy, and, and pet owners will do that work for you. They are, thrilled to share out their pet. A lot of them have Instagram accounts for their own pets. And lucky for us, the thing that we cover, pets, are just a very sticky thing on social media. So people really enjoy that content in general. So, the other thing that I think, it's hard to really, especially if you're not spending tons and tons on social media, like paid social media, which we spend some, but we're, certainly not huge spender, all things considered. It's hard to really grow your follower base or drive a lot of growth simply from kind of your organic social. But where we've had some really big successful events are probably when we've taken a combined approach to something like an event activation, social media, and PR. So this year we partnered with Superman. We did some TV spots, featuring Crypto, who was the dog in Superman. And that got a ton of, buzz, and both on social media and in the press. And then that sparked our marketing team and PR team to launch a crypto lookalike contest in New York City. It was pretty, kind of fast, guerrilla style. They pulled it off in a few weeks. And that's the type of thing that's just tapping into something that's going on right at that moment. It's super relevant. It's dogs, everybody, and everybody wants their dog celebrated and put the spotlight on them. So things like that, when we can kind of tap into a cultural moment, those are really powerful.
Absolutely. And I think especially whenever you jump onto something with a lot of buzz already, like Superman, for example, or any type of major event happening, or participation in someone's channel that's already has a following, you can easily cross promote there. And especially with social media, virality is very much underestimated. If you can go viral in any capacity, it can help increase your following and boost sales significantly. And it can also impact you in a negative way. Like you see, for example, all the blowback with Cracker Barrel recently, that went viral, but it also impacted you negatively. So there's some care that you have to take to it. But virality is a very good tool if it's done intentionally and you have a good game plan behind it, which it sounds like y'all have implemented some of that as well.
Yeah. And I think that it's an area that we've learned a lot and we've gotten better over the 6 years that we've been around. And but it's always changing. What works today or what's sticky and drives virality now is not going to be the same thing as next year. So.
No, absolutely. So you mentioned it next year. Looking ahead to next year, what are some of the biggest opportunities for Pumpkin that you see? Where do you see the biggest opportunity for y'all to continue to grow?
Yeah, so I have a bias here, but luckily it's a bias that I think all of the Pumpkin leadership shares, is just we're going to continue to double down on the service and the experience that we deliver to customers. We know we have a great insurance product. It's really about how do you make the product work harder and work better for the customers you have. We know that's what drives word of mouth referrals. That's what drives our 5-star reviews. And that's really what wins the trust in the hearts and minds of the people, whether they're pet owners or veterinary professionals that are going to kind of be your brand champions. So we're looking at how we expand the service offering of Pumpkin now. Everything from looking at the service hours to, dollar thresholds, but really just making it even better, more informative, more throughput of communication, both to pet owners and veterinarians. And then the other thing is, I think just as we've grown and we've become a bigger company and we're part of a larger kind of portfolio of insurance companies and brands in the space now, I think that just really leaning into how we differentiate ourselves in marketing is a big focal point. There's just a lot more. When we came out in 2020, there weren't a lot of people talking about pet insurance the way that we were. It was kind of positioned a little bit more universally as a kind of financial tool or a risk mitigation tool. And I think more and more, there are more players in the market now. There's a lot more I don't want to say noise, but there's just a lot more pet marketing out there. And so really making sure that our message breaks through, that we're a really standout, highly differentiated brand, even more so than we are right now, is really what we're focused on. So it is a lot of brand building, but it's also, I would say it's brand building and just doubling down on everything we're doing from a service and experience standpoint.
No, absolutely. That's always exciting whenever you have that kind of creative control and you're looking forward and you're going to be able to plan out the next couple of years of your business. And so that's very exciting for y'all. Yeah. It's
been so critical to our success. I think that, and that's a wonderful thing about Pumpkin, is that our journey over 6 years has been this like kind of compressed, growth journey. But I don't think anyone at Pumpkin believes it would have happened had we not had that agility and nimbleness of a startup, and we hadn't been just laser focused from day one on, no, we're going to own the customer experience. We're going to control and invest in the service and the experience, and that's how we're going to win. And so that thing, that control and that ability to be innovative and iterative has just been so critical to our success, and I think will continue to be so key.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Julia. This was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. Can you tell us where people can find Pumpkin, how they can get in touch with y'all or in touch with you online?
So our website is pumpkin.care. So www.pumpkin.care. You can find us on all social media. You can find Pumpkin Cares on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. And I'm always excited to talk to other people in the community, whether it's InsurTech or the pet vet space. So anyone's also always welcome to drop me a line and reach out anytime.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Julia. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you so much. This has been fun.